here's my card. Okay, so all you guys know that I cosplay, and this is a refresher. Cosplay is when you go to conventions like A-Kon or Dallas Comic Con or things like that and dress up as the characters, wearing their wigs or their outfits. And I've been cosplaying for going on 3 years now, and that means a lot of wigs, a lot of props, but mainly a lot of wigs. And this is mainly just so you can better look like the character and have different hair lengths, hair colors, and stuff like that. And so going along with wigs means that you have to then style them and put a lot of products in them. And this means that once you do it, you can't really reuse the same wig until you clean it again. And this is incredibly important for just the health of the wig. If you try and go from one wig straight that's been already styled into one style and just immediately put into the next, it can most likely damage the wig as well as cause a lot of irreparable knotting and a lot of the strands to melt together because these are synthetic. And so the most important thing is to clean them in between each use. And so I'm just really going to show you basically how to clean a wig as well as how it changes based on the type of wig. Basically if it's long, short, or curly or anything like that. So this wig in particular, I had styled for a previous convention, and so I'm just going to clean this one. And this is a curly wig, so it is different than most wigs. The first step to do is you definitely have to brush out the wig. And this is to get out some of the product as well as to unknot and untangle. Because a lot of wigs, when you wear them, they'll knot in the back and on the sides. And so the first step is to comb it out, and this step depends on the type of wig you have. If it's a straight wig, you can use just a normal brush, and preferably have a brush specifically for combing out wigs. You really shouldn't use the same brush for hair as you do a wig. So you would use one of these brushes for a straight wig, and then, but if you have a curly wig and want to keep the curls, you would use more of a fine tooth comb and try and gently pick out the hair. So as this is a curly wig, I would use this one. And the first step is definitely to take out all the accessories that are in the hair. And that would be about bobby pins, hair ties, clips, just anything that you had used to hold the style. And you just take them out. The important part with curly wigs is definitely about retaining curl. Sometimes if you want to retain the curl, you do have to be as gentle as possible. But if you want to maybe relax it a bit, you can actually use the other brush. But then once you comb it out, you just separate as much as possible, and then you would gently comb from bottom to top, just to try and get out some of the product. And the curlier the wig, the definitely more careful you'd have to be. And then so you just slowly go working your way through from bottom to top with the wig. And then the next step is how to actually wash it once you finish combing it out. So assuming this wig is completely combed out, you then have to go to actually washing it. And to this, you can either do it in the sink or in a bucket or in any type of container. But this important part is to use cold water. It definitely has to be cold water. If it was warm or hot water, you risk melding the fibers together or taking away some of its shine. So it has to definitely be cold water, and then you have to take shampoo. You can use human shampoo, although they do sell wig shampoo. But if you use human shampoo, it has to be unscented preferably, and just as little actual chemicals in it as possible. And you would pour out just a cap size worth of the shampoo, and then if you do that, you then just mix it in with the water and try and get it throughout. Not necessarily bubble up, just have it in the water. And then you would just take the wig and place it in the water. Usually you'd have like a bigger bowl. And then you would just pat it through. You don't do any violent motions. You can move it around a little bit, more like swishing, but you do not have do any violent motions because this will damage the wig and deform it somewhat. And you would just pat it through. And then once you would do that, you would repeat the step as many times as you needed based on the amount of products that were in the wig. This one there was really only just hairspray necessarily, so I would only need to do it about once. But the more product there is, the more times you would just have to drain the water, put more cold water in, and shampoo it and repeat. But this wig would just be once. And then after you finish with all the steps of shampoo, you then drain the water and then repeat the same thing with a cap full of a conditioner. And then you would just do the same thing and place the wig back in, pat it through. And then once you're done, you would not rinse it. You would take it out and you would put it on, a towel. And after you had just drained some of it, and then you just let it pat through. The most important thing with this is that you have to let the wig air dry no matter what type of wig it was. This is because if you apply any type of heat, you risk damaging the wig. And this is regardless of what type of wig there are. A lot of wigs are claimed to be heat resistant, but especially if the fibers were wet, you just don't want to risk applying any heat, as it'll change the quality of the fibers and how they look. And once you finish this step, you would then put it back on a wig head to keep it from deforming and let it air dry overnight. Depending on the length of the wig, it depends on the length of how long it would take to air dry. But this step is incredibly important, just once again, because you can't really do heat and you just have to let it finish on its own. This step also determines on the type of wig it is, if it's a long wig versus a short wig. The longer the wig, it'll take longer, but also if it's a curly long wig, it's best to lay it down flat and let it air dry laying down. Because if it's a long wig and it's curly, you want it to stay curly, the gravity of it being wet and standing upright might drag out the curls, and so laying it down would probably be the best bet. And then once it's completely air dried, then you would spray a wig shine spray into the hair, and then comb it straight through. And this will make it have more movement and keep some of the shine in the wig and help it be as realistic looking as possible. And so then going into different types of wigs, the longer the wig and the more curly it is or the more styled it is, the more you have to be careful when you wash it. Long wigs, for example, you have to make sure that it's drying at the same pace, that there's not going to dry at different times, so you have to make sure that it's not sitting on anything or staying down. And with curly wigs, you definitely have to be as gentle as possible to keep the curls in place. Short wigs are definitely the easiest to do, mainly because there's a lot less hair, so a lot less issues with knotting, and they do dry faster, and they normally look the same the most. But just as long as you're careful with the wig, the better chance there will be of doing fine. So really in general, the main steps are just to comb it through as carefully as possible, because you might pull out the fibers or another way damage them, because once you break a wig fiber, it's broken. It's not going to come back, so you have to be very careful not to break or use too much force. But yeah, first you comb through, to get out some of the product and to unknot it. Then you would just, in cold water, you would shampoo it and then condition it, rinsing it out in between each one except the last, and then pat it dry and then let it air dry. And only after it's completely dry would you then comb it through. And if all this was done properly, the wig should definitely be salvageable and will probably look better than you did before. And from there you can restyle it or do whatever you need to do with the newly cleaned wig. But just in parting, just realize that the level of attention and care you put into it when you clean it will definitely reflect in how it looks in pictures and in real life. The more careful and the more thoroughly you clean it, the more real it's going to look. And if you try and rush this process or don't use the right temperature water or hurt the wig, it will look it'll lackluster. It won't last as long, and the wig will have to be thrown out sooner than you would like. So as long as you're really careful with the wig and you clean it properly, it can definitely look as good as new every time you use it. Thank you.